of weeks, Brittany and I were on a little trip. Last couple of weeks, I sent a video to a couple of people in my family saying sorry, not sorry, when it was 3 degrees here in Denver, but 70 or 80 degrees where we were. So it's pretty great. But today, I'm super excited to have Blake with us. Blake, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. I was just telling Brittany, had the flu or something a couple weeks ago, kind of recovering. Got that like lingering cough going on, but we got the tea. So tea, live stream, like I'm ready to just chill out and answer some questions or talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about. So
yeah, I'm going to tee you up right here. This is going to
kind
of lead the whole conversation. So you run this group that talks, or you consult agencies, then you have these 6 pillars, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to talk about is the 6 pillars. I obviously don't want to dive in and steal anything that, you give away, but I think, or that you provide as a service, but I think at a high level, I'd love to hear about what those 6 pillars are and how you educate, agency owners through each of those 6 and how you believe that it helps them grow their business kind of. Does that make kind of sense? Where I told you I think you could talk about what I was going to tell you what to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? I think you can talk about this, right? So
100%. Yeah. No, I talk to even agency owners that I'm not currently consulting with. I talk to I post on social media about this. I talked about this to everyone. So anyways, like as I started working with more and more agency owners, and that's what I do. I consult hands-on with agency owners to help them scale. I kind of had to put together a methodology to explain to people how they need to pretty much build out the infrastructure of their agency. And then after that, remove themselves from that infrastructure. At the end of the day, we want your agency to be a self-sustaining, well-oiled machine that runs itself, right? Like that's the goal. I don't know anyone who wants to like run the day-to-day of their agency or be doing fulfillment from now until they're 70 years old, right? Like we want to create a business that runs itself, right? So
unless you want a hairline like mine, that's what I always kind of say.
What's that?
Unless you want a hairline like mine, that's what I always kind of say. This is what I get for running an agency for this long. So.
You seen those memes that are like advertising easy Carl, age 26, and like an old man? No, that's me. I was well on the way to that. But no, so my kind of thought process, well, it's not theory. It's what I implemented in my agency, in multiple agencies, and one in which I had an exit 6 months ago. I implemented these 6 core pillars into my agency, and I'll talk about what those are in a minute. And after implementing those 6 core pillars and then removing myself from each one methodically, I was able to, again, like build this self-sustaining business, a self-sustaining business model, right? So the pillars are, and I'll just dive through them really quickly, and we can drill into each if you want to. Lead generation. So this is not lead generation for your like fulfillment side. This is like lead generation for your business, getting in touch with more prospects. Lead generation, sales process, which includes a lot of things like your offer, your pricing structure, 1 call close, or is it a 2 call close? Like the whole 9 yards of that. Closing, and then 4, 5, 6 are onboarding, fulfillment, account management. And I'll do a little plug for you guys really quick. The reason why I refer so many people to you guys is because y'all can handle pillars 4, 5, 6, like just hands down, just like get it off their plate, right? So if an agency owner is able to generate their own leads, they have their sales process and offer dialed in, they're able to close deals, and then they can partner up with guys like you who can handle onboarding, fulfillment, account management, communications, reporting, the whole thing. I try to put, in regards to the agency owners I work with, I try to put agency owners in a position to where everything after cash collected is off their plate. And you can spend 90% of your time as a small agency owner who's trying to grow, spend 90% of your time focused on RGA, revenue generating activities, sales, right? So that's the whole thing. 6 pillars: lead gen, sales process, closing, onboarding, fulfillment, account management. You put those pillars in place, and then over time, you start to remove yourself from each. And that's how you can actually create a self-sustaining business. So many digital marketers try to do everything themselves, and they don't really have a business. They have, we talked about Carl, age 26 with gray hair, like they're working themselves into the grave pretty much. They need to like build out systems and build out a business around them, as opposed to them being the entire business and wearing every single hat, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Blake, what were some of the emotional like pain points you went through when you developed this for yourself? Or how did you recognize that like this was going to be a better path than trying to stay inside of the business and handle it all?
Well, I'll come right out of the gate and say, like, I didn't invent anything. I just talked about, I put a name to it. Like, I kind of named the 6-pillar thing to build a framework upon which I can consult with agency owners and like all that. But like we all know, having enough prospects to talk to is important. Having a solidified, offer and pricing, which starts with identifying your TAM, your total addressable market, your client avatar, what your pricing is going to be, what services, what niche, like all that stuff. That's important before you start to market. How you go about onboarding, who's going to be doing your fulfillment, whether it's in-house or white labeled or whatever, like all these things, like we all know they're all important, right? I put the whole 6-pillar illustration together to allow digital marketers to kind of break it down into bite-sized chunks and be like, okay, let's just tackle one pillar at a time. Like, do you have leads? I talk to agency owners legit every day. I've already talked to 3 today. And one thing I ask them is like, how many consultations are you doing per week? Most people are like, I don't know, a couple a month. And it's like, well, okay, pillar number 1 is not there. Like, we need to talk to business owners. One thing I say to all the agency owners I work with is like, if you're like sub 10K per month, your main KPI, your main metric that you wake up and think about every single day should be conversations per day. Again, if you are sub 10K per month, you need to wake up every single day and make it your life's mission to talk to 5 business owners today. Like, just make that your goal. Conversations, period, right? And then once that is going, it's like, okay, let's start to dial in that offer and that pricing. And that once we start landing clients, okay, how is fulfillment getting done? So again, the 6-pillar thing is nothing new in regards to, like, we all know we need like sales and fulfillment and all that stuff. But I think it lets people kind of break it down into bite-sized chunks and focus on one pillar at a time and build one block at a time, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think one thing Brittany and I just had happen, and you kind of alluded to it with the packaging or your like positioning and pricing and stuff like that. We had been saying this thing that we now have forever, right? And now we just came up with the just sell method, right? So you sell, we do everything else. And that's as simple as that we came up with now. And it's, once you have that positioning, it's so weird how many more leads we're able to generate just by having that message versus sounding like every other SEO agency or white label company out there, right? The just sell method has now separated us from the group. And that's kind of what you did with your 6 pillars, plus what you're having people do inside of their agency right away, right? Is, hey, we got to get this customer avatar. What do you want to go after? What's your offer? What makes you unique? That's what I always kind of ask people is like, what makes people unique, right? Like, what makes you unique from somebody else? When we're talking to people that, don't have as many leads either, and they're like, hey, what do I do about generating sales? Well, how are you different, right? And that's how what you need to lean into is kind of what I've always thought of, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
100%. I had this slide deck. I've given this presentation a couple times, and I called it "Stop Selling Digital Marketing."
Yeah.
Basically, the whole thing behind it is like digital marketing, leads. Like, this is not what your client wants. Like, we need to think about the true outcome that they want, which of course is more customers, increased revenue. And then when you get on a sales call, you can drill even deeper. Like, why do you want more revenue? You want to hire a GM so you can remove yourself from the day-to-day, so you can go spend more time at the lake house with your family. Like, we have to drill down so deep and figure out what these people want. For you guys, yeah, for sure. It's like agency owners don't want at a surface level, like, or at a deep level, I should say, they don't want SEO. What they want is umbrella wide. Like, they want fulfillment off their plate. And you guys being like, hey, we got you. Everything after cash collected is on us. You just go out and grow your business, and it's like perfect, right? So, and that's like amazing messaging. That's awesome that you guys are you got that messaging dialed in. So for agency owners, I see a lot of people start up their prospecting efforts or their paid ads, and their messaging to the market is like, hey, we do SEO, we do Google ads, we offer digital marketing, great prices or whatever. It's like, dude, you're just commoditizing yourself, right? You're positioning yourself based on like price and service, not based on like value and either A, solving a pain point for the ideal market, ideal avatar, or B, achieving a desired outcome. Like your messaging should always be focused on one of those two things, right? So I see digital marketers run ads and they're like, hey, we offer SEO, great prices, whatever. It's like cool. Like everyone who sees that in their timeline just imagines you as another like commodity SEO agency or whatever. In my ads, it was like we were going after like contractors and roofers and home service companies. So you're like, roofers, are you tired of relying on home advisors, non-exclusive leads, and worrying every single night about where your next job is going to come from? Pain point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you need a simple strategy that your competitors aren't using to stack your calendar with appointments every day for new roof installations? Desired outcome. It's like I didn't say a word about SEO or Google ads, right? And I typically won't, not in the ad, not in the funnel, not until halfway through the sales call, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just about the pain point or the desired outcome, right? And even I'll drill down a little bit deeper if it's cool. Y'all just tell me to shut up if I'm rambling too much. I could like talk about this stuff for 8 hours straight. But even in the sales call, like whenever we're doing the discovery portion of the sales call and we're asking them questions about their pain points and their desired outcome and where they're trying to go and stuff, we pretty much, before we even dive into what I call the education and pitch on the sales call, which is like where we actually explain the services and how things work, before we even dive into that, we're already getting them tied down to the fact that like they have a pain point that they haven't been able to solve themselves. They need a solution. And we're like, hey, you know, if we had an ideal solution for this, would you be willing to move forward today? And like we're tying them down to move forward, and they're emotionally invested and sold before we've even freaking talked about SEO, right?
Yep.
And this is something that one of the sales coaches in our agency mentorship taught us last week, which was brilliant. And so you can legitimately get people emotionally sold on a sales call before you even roll into how the services work by focusing on their pain points and their desired outcomes. So bring all that back to what you were saying, like, yeah, it's pretty critical that you hone your messaging in to like what the market truly wants at a deep level, not just like the surface level service you're providing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know Ryan Dice. We all know who he is. He came out with the avatar with the frowny face guy, and then over here is the smiley face guy, right? And how do you go from here? Your customer to go from here to here, and that's that pain point that you're addressing, right? And that's all that matters. And that's if anybody ever talks to us, that's the first question we always ask is, what problem are you trying to solve? We're really great at trying to address that, and then we're honestly like, oh, we can't solve that one, or we can solve this one, or whatever, right? Like, and sometimes people come in like, hey, I want social. Well, why do you want social? Well, because all my other contractor guys are doing it. Well, okay, that may not be the best place for you to go to start off with, right? And that's just like having a higher level education conversation with people instead of just like you said. Like, I think it's so ironic that you said, commoditize your pricing and stuff, because I think I did that for a long time, right? I was the race to the bottom, right? Give me the cheapest, give me the most clients to do that. And now, honestly, since Brittany's been here, we've kind of shifted to, hey, we're more of a premium brand. We do all these additional
100%.
things.
Yeah.
So we need to pay more for that. To the fact that Brittany tomorrow, what are you doing tomorrow, Brittany?
What I've wanted to do forever. No, we're increasing our pricing to accommodate all of the cool things that we do, which with our branding, like as we discovered how to just frame it, right? Because we do all the things. We've always done all the things, and now we do more things. It's a way for you to actually justify, I think, what people are paying into it, which Michael and I have struggled with, I think, before. It's like in our world, it is about being cheap. It is like the next person over is going to do SEO for $200. But I think what we found is as we repositioned ourselves, the people coming to us already wanted what we were providing because of that new messaging. Like I wasn't having calls with people who wanted a deal. I was having calls with people who were like, I just want to sell. Like I don't want to do any of this stuff. So, I was... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say it's like already qualified people and made our leads so much better just by having the right positioning, which I've never seen such a switch, because we switched it and literally the next day the lead form was telling us different information than what we were seeing before, and we were seeing there because we asked the pain point actually on our forms, and they're like, I just want to sell. I just want to sell, and we're like, wow, this is really working too, because we're telling them just sell. Now they're telling us they just want to sell. We're
Yeah.
already addressing that pain point, right? So it's just
Funny,
been very
yeah.
eye-opening, which is cool because like you're really good at this. You've identified the process and system to do this, which is like cool to have you on after now. Because before I was like, but this position doesn't really work, right?
Yeah.
And it does. Like
Yeah.
I've seen it literally in the last 60 days. Just kill it.
Whenever you like are not focused on that and don't have that like really, really dialed in, you're going to spend a lot of time and effort trying to find your ideal clients. But once you have that extremely dialed in, you start creating your ideal clients.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start telling them what they should value and how you're going to provide it. And they come to you ready to be that client. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, but yeah, what y'all are doing is awesome. Cause yeah, in your space, let's just be frank, like a lot of white label providers out there. I mean, yeah, for sure. It's a race to the bottom. Right. But you guys aren't just doing the small, like 20% piece of the puzzle that most of them are doing. Y'all are doing the whole 9 yards of not just fulfillment, but then account management, reporting, communicating to the client on behalf of the agency through their branded domain. Like I said, everything after, and this is why, like, I'm not affiliated, like I'm not a partner with y'all or whatever, but this is why I send people to y'all every single day, because like y'all handle everything after cash collected, like I said. So it makes sense for an agency owner who's trying to really scale to get all that stuff off their plate. Just focus on generating their leads, dial in your offer, your pricing, and sell, and then let the back office be handled by 51 blocks, and go, right? So I sold my agency in about 6-7 months ago. I had an exit, which is awesome. I'm super grateful for that. I got a non-compete, and I'm like already itching to like get things up and running, and I'm just gonna focus on lead gen and sales. I'm gonna partner with 51 blocks. Like I just like exactly what I've been preaching to people every single day. I'm like itching to do it again myself. Right now, my main focus is consulting, but it's just so cool how back when I got started in 2013, 2014, 2015, like this type of stuff didn't exist. Like companies like you guys, right? Yeah. Digital marketing agencies starting in 2022, 2023. Like you can legit just like fire up a Facebook campaign, dial in your messaging, like we said, generate your own leads, close deals, and offload everything after cash collected, like I said, to 51 blocks or a company like yours, right? There's lots of them, but I love you guys. And that's how you can start to land 1-2 clients a week while being able to manage it. Sometimes I'll get on a consultation call with an agency owner, and they say that they're doing some fulfillment themselves, or it's in-house, or they are using a white label company, but that company is just like the SEO or whatever. They're not doing communications and account management, all that stuff. And they're basically just like spinning their tires and not able to grow it all. You know, like they are their own bottlenecks if they're doing that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that leads into something that really, I think, resonated with Michael and I when we sat in with your group, and you mentioned death by fulfillment. And it was the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, someone else gets it. Like, this is really a thing. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit more, because that's like the biggest issue probably that you've seen, especially with like people who have like 10 clients or something like that, is they're just like stuck in that spot. And we see it too, like even people who come here with the goal of just selling, it's almost psychological. Like they really can't always just get themselves out of it immediately. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that concept.
Yeah. The funny thing is like, I feel like most digital marketing agency owners start off as like a practitioner in a certain skill set, like an SEO specialist or a Facebook ad specialist or whatever. And so that's like one skill set. And some people tend to go down this like mental path of like this like wrongful assumption that mastering that skill set will equate to agency growth or success. But that skill set is different than the skill set of owning, operating, and growing an agency, right? Like being an awesome SEO expert is not going to always mean that you're going to grow an agency. Is this making sense? Like, yeah. People make that wrongful assumption, right? And so they keep on doing their own fulfillment, and they're great at it, and they're getting awesome results for their clients, and they're wondering why their agency isn't growing. It's like, well, because at a certain point, you need to remove yourself from fulfillment and focus on the things that actually make your agency grow, such as your positioning, messaging, and sales, right? And so there's like, and I went through this phase too, where it's almost like a humbling, like ego type of thing, where you have to say like, okay, I'm great at running ads or doing SEO or whatever I'm doing for my clients, but if I want to grow, I need to hand this off to someone else, even if they're only going to do it 90-80% as good as me or whatever. I got to hand this off so I can focus on what is actually going to make my business grow. So that like fork in the road, or that bridge that some people need to cross, is like that's something I'm like helping agency owners with every single day. It's like, dude, I know you love doing
I don't think it
SEO,
matters how.
but
Yeah.
you need to focus on sales if you're growing, right?
Well, and even as you grow bigger, you still run into that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was an SEO guy when I started. I didn't know paid search, blah, blah, blah. But I got, we got to 1.5 million, and then I was 1.7 million. We were kind of stuck because I couldn't manage the team because I wasn't a good manager. I'd lose people, stuff like that. Bring Brittany in, and now we're able to grow again because she's a bit like not doing 90% better. She's doing 190% better than I was, right? So it's just like, finding those areas where you're weak at and putting somebody in. It's almost kind of like when you're playing on a team and you're like, gosh, we need somebody that can shoot a little bit better from outside. If you're playing basketball, right? Like instead of, hey, we got the big guys down, we need somebody else, right? So one of the things I want to talk about, because I think in digital marketing, we have this big group at the, I'll say, lower end of revenue, right? From 0 to 10K or 0 to 20K. And then there's very few that are up at the, or less, obviously, at the couple 100,000. What do you recommend for lead gen, or those people that are 10 to 20K in that space? Like what are you you just telling them, hey, we got to spin up some Facebook ads, use these guys here, or what's your focus? Because I've heard people say, hey, go to Home Depot, hand out your business card, right? Like do things like that as well. And I've always kind of been somebody that tries to live at the bottom of the funnel, so to speak, where people are searching for your services versus trying to get them to show up like, oh, I do need that, like kind of thing, right? Where I think that's where Facebook is. And it sounds like you've lived a lot more on Facebook. We've actually launched our first Facebook ads last Thursday ever, like really ads that we're running. So it's new for us. We generated one lead. I was super excited this weekend, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this works.
First lead feeling, right?
Yeah.
First lead feeling is the best.
Yeah.
At least we set up Zapier right, like a lead.
Yeah, exactly. Came through on Slack. I was like, yes,
love it. Yeah.
So
I have so many. By the way, like we should chat after. I have so many ideas for like some killer copy and stuff for you guys. We should totally chat later.
Cool.
But that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean about what you said, like there's people doing like 0 to 10K, people doing 10 to 30K, people doing 80K plus. Like everyone's at different stages, right? And whenever you're at the lower stages, like 0 to 10K per month, you're going to need to spend to get clients. You're going to need to spend time, or you're going to spend money, right? And at the beginning, you have more time than money, right? So a lot of these organic prospecting tactics are going to be the way to go, whether that's content posting, which can be as simple as friend requesting people in your ideal target niche on Facebook, and then posting content consistently on your own profile about what you do and results and things like that. Again, focusing on pain points and desire points, not just saying, hey, we do SEO or whatever, right? There's, of course, like LinkedIn and email outreach. There's a lot of ways to do organic prospecting. And one of my good buddies, Adam, he lands 10 to 15 clients just organic, just by like posting content on Facebook and being very well networked in his niche, right? You can totally do that. Now, it has to snowball over time. He's 2 years into achieving those types of results, right? But you can do that. And then, of course, there's paid advertising, which I love paid advertising because you can achieve a certain level of consistency and predictability that you might not be able to from relying on referrals and word of mouth and things like that. It's actually like we tell our prospective agency clients the same thing. Whenever I got on a sales call with a local business owner that was selling whatever Google ads to, and I'm like, hey, how do y'all get y'all's customers currently? And they're like, oh, well, we just good old word of mouth and, referrals. People come to us. And it's like, okay, but you're trying to grow and you haven't been able to. Like, why is that? And we'll start to have that conversation. And I'll tell them, like, hey, referrals are great. Obviously, they're the hottest leads possible. But the thing about referrals and word of mouth is, like, you can't just decide on a whim to scale your referrals by 3x from this month to next month. You can, however, if you have a customer acquisition system dialed in via paid ads, you can, in fact, 3x your budget with the click of a button, right? So once you have a predictable system, you can scale at will as long as things are dialed in. And we can get way into detail on this, but like dialing in cost per appointment, cost per real customer acquisition, and then lifetime value. Like once you get those numbers dialed and you know how much money you can spend to acquire a customer, like business gets really fun at that point, right? So let's say I have an SEO client paying $1,500 a month. That's 18 grand for the year. And I know I can acquire a customer for $600 in Facebook ads. Should I turn 600 into 18 grand? Yes, as many times as I possibly can, right? And so if you know those numbers, like it just becomes a math game at that point. And I'm a math nerd, so like I try to make everything math. So anyways, but I wrote down like 4 different notes when you were asking the last question. Another thing is like going from organic prospecting to ads is like going from I heard Joel Kaplan say this. He's another agency consultant, good dude, and I heard him talk about this on his social media. He said it's like going from 1-to-1 to 1-to-many, right? Organic prospecting is like hand-to-hand combat. It's just like one-to-one or emailing or whatever. Yeah, you can automate some of that, but more or less it's like 1-to-1. Whenever you go to ads, it's 1-to-many, right? Like I can spend $100 on an ad and put my offer in front of 1,000 people in my ideal market, right? So again, it's the time versus money trade-off. You have to spend something to get a client, but it's either going to be time or money, right? That's the big thing. But once you start spending money on ads, like you get that dialed in. We have one guy that came into our agency mentorship, and his name's Jacob, and he came on board. He's doing like 1 or 2K per month. He had like one client, I think. Fast forward, he's doing 25K per month in like 60 to 90 days.
Cool.
It's because he put those pillars in place. He started spending probably $15 a day on Facebook ads, started generating leads for about $5-6 a piece in his ideal target market. He started using the sales process and scripts and everything we gave him, all that fun stuff, and started landing 1-2 clients a week. Actually, y'all know Jacob because he uses y'all. The reason why he was able to scale is because, again, once he landed the deal, he offloaded them to 51 blocks, and he kept his focus on making sure his ads were dialed in and making sure his sales process and closing was dialed in. Like he's the perfect example of like the type of people you're trying to work with, right? Yeah. And so, and you know, he's a full-time firefighter, and he had 2K per month to work with in agency revenue, and he got his ad started at $15 a day, and then he let it snowball from there. He's probably spending $100 a day by now. But like he started off small and let it, as his stats got dialed in, he started building it up, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of paid ads. I'm definitely a media buyer background dude.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it's fun for us to get in that space. You know, like we've never really done it, and now we're like we want to scale. To your point, that I'm all about the multi-prong approach, anyways, right? Like. As dumb as it is, we have a book on Amazon that sometimes generates some revenue and some leads, right? We have organic leads, we have some JVs, we have, all these different multi-pronged approach kind of thing. We've never really dove into ads. I don't know why, probably because I was never really good at them. So now we hire people that inside our team that are good at it. We're going to give it a shot. So I'm excited about it. But
I think if I can add to that really quick, I think the fastest growing agencies are the ones that have 3, 4, 5, 6 marketing channels, really. Like for us, it was, especially the year that we really grew the fastest, we were Facebook ads, Google ads, and then we had referral programs and content, like me posting regularly to my target audience on Facebook and stuff, right? So it was like 2 organic methods, 2 paid methods, and that allowed us to grow really quickly. And man, agency owners sleep on referral programs a lot. I mean, like I had one client give me 15 clients over the course of 1 year, right? So I think there's something to be said about maximizing your current book of business. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah.
I think we're going to need to have to bring you on like every 6 months here, man. Like this has been some good stuff. I love
every 6 days. Let's go.
That might be a little oversaturating, your ad showing up a little bit too much. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, is there anything else that you want to kind of say about your program? Obviously, I want you to, speak to our audience about it. I think we have a a wide range of agency owners in our group,
Sure.
about 700 to 800 people in here that I want to give you the stage to kind of talk to about what you offer and how it's different than maybe some other consultants out there. Talk about your brand and positioning a little bit, right? So,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it super short. Like we talked about earlier with the 6 pillars, I consult with and work with agency owners hands-on to help them solve bottlenecks in any of those pillars. If they're having trouble like getting leads and getting conversations going and getting in front of their ideal target market, or honing in on their sales process, their offer, their pitch, dialing in their closing ability, and of course, things like getting connected with the right preferred vendor on the back end, like all that stuff. That's what I help agency owners solve and fix. I'll say one quick thing about I don't want to come across too promo or whatever, but the one thing about our mentorship that we have, Agency Collective, is it's extremely hands-on. Every agency is different. You know, like if you go to like a personal trainer, right? They have a different like nutrition plan and fitness plan, whatever, for everyone, right? It should be like that for agencies too. I work with some people who are just getting started, or like sub 5-10K, and people who are doing more in revenue. And it comes down to identifying your current bottlenecks, which can be nicely fit into one of those pillars, right? And then troubleshooting that bottleneck. But our mentorship is mainly about meeting you where you're at with your current bottlenecks. That's why I do a one-on-one like coaching, like with everyone I work with. And then it's really also about the community. We're building a really high value community. Like everyone in our community is established agency owners. And so there are people in there doing big numbers who pour back into the people who are maybe at the lower end of the revenue spectrum, right? My whole philosophy behind, like, I guess, leveling up a business and growing in that regard is like, you just want to position yourself to be in close proximity with people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you. And then my add-on to that is like also be willing to help people who are 1 or 2 steps behind you. Like that's what community is all about. And that's kind of what we try to cultivate in our mentorship. So that's the overarching theme behind us, is like support and community. But anywho, that's the summary.
I love that. Where can people find you, Blake, if they're interested in talking with you more?
They can just reach out to me on Facebook. We're actually working on our official company website right now. But if anyone wants to watch an overview video of our mentorship and what we do, just reach out to me on Facebook, and I'll give you a link to a landing page that has the overview video and the whole 9 yards.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, Michael, anything else?
No, that's it, man. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's fun.
Chatting with us. Like I said, let's try to schedule this again 6 months from now. It'll be, maybe we dive into another pillar and talk about sales process or something like that.
Yeah.
A little bit deeper. So,
Sounds awesome.
All right, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
Have a good day.
one.
Catch
Thanks,
you later.
everybody.
Bye.